Hey nail lovers, Courtney here, and today we're doing this beautifully sparkly opal design. I've seen a couple of people do this design lately, but they're all doing it with acrylic, and I don't use acrylic. So I decided yesterday to try it out with gel, and this was the first one that I did, and then I did this one was the second, and the third I did yesterday, and then this morning I did all of this hand, and I'm so happy with how they turned out. I love them so much, and I want to keep them forever. So I'm going to show you just how I did it. It's really not very difficult. What I'm going to be using is a hard gel by Bluesky. It's the clear one. It's just a thick builder in a bottle type gel. You can use a builder gel, or probably even a top coat would be fine, or a thick base coat. You just need to use a lot more layers. I will be using a no wipe top coat as well, and I have these two pigment powders from SBD London. So these are what's giving it the beautiful shimmer. I have these two colors from them. I think they do other colors, but these are the two that I have and the two that I've used today. So this one is number 15. And it's a purple iridescent color. And this one is number 13. I feel like I just said 13. This one's 13, and it's kind of like a gold shimmer color. I also have from, I don't know where I got these. They're shards of iridescent beautifulness. I've tipped some out into this box just so that I can pick out the tiniest ones, because they're quite tricky to cover up on your nails if you're not like building a really thick nail. And I also have these little iridescent stars, which I also am going to tip a few more into here. Whee! So that I can get the little tiny ones, because I don't want anything too big on my nails. So to pick those up and to pick up the shards, I'm going to be using my gem picker with a wax thing on the end, and I'll do the same for the shards. I have a white painting gel that I used for the thin white marble type designs, and I use my striping brush, and this little brush as well I'm going to use quite a lot. So it's kind of like an acrylic brush, but it's very tiny. I think you probably could use it for doing 3D acrylic work, but I'm going to be using it with some isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol if you live in America, and we'll be using this to pick up the powder. So the first thing you want to do when you're doing a design that involves anything a bit chunky is do that layer first. This design, I realized, is all about the layers. So for every layer that I've put on my nails, I've done something inside the layer. So the first layer is just going to be a base coat. I'm using this Ridge Filler base coat. I got this from Bluesky because I wasn't sure if it would be like a rubber base coat. They don't have a rubber base coat, Bluesky. So I got the Ridge Filler one thinking it'll probably be like a rubber base coat. So I'll show you what it's like. I'm wiping my nails off with acetone right now. This is the only thing I ever do to my nails whenever I put gel or gel polish or builder gel or anything on them. I do the cuticle work, and then I just go in with acetone. So let's put the Ridge Filler on. So it is thicker than a regular top coat, but I'm not sure it's as thick as a rubber top coat. It is a really nice consistency to work with though. So I think I would probably buy this over the regular base coat. Did I say top coat before? I meant base coat if I did. So it's quite thick, but it's not, oh, hair. That's from my lint-free wipes. It's quite thick, but it's not like super duper thick. It does self-level a little bit, and it's clear, so you can keep an eye on your nails. So I'm going to put that in the light for 30 seconds, and then we'll do the second layer. Okay, so those have come out the light. That's the base coat cured. Now for the first thing that I'm going to be putting on my nail are these shards and these stars, because they're quite thick. They're not like a powder that's going to just sit nicely underneath. They are something that you need to pick up and put on the nail and then cover it so that it's not jaggy. So I'm going to go in with my hard gel now. I'll be using this for quite a few layers. This layer is going to be quite thin. I just want enough on the nail to stick the pieces of shards and pieces of stars to, so when I cure it, they don't move. So that's a thin layer of that. I'm going to pick the tiny, tiny pieces. If you get the big pieces and you're only on your natural nail and you're not building an actual extension with a good apex and whatever, the big pieces aren't going to be suitable. So I'm using just tiny pieces. And I'm just going to stick those around my nail and try not to put it right on the edges, because that area is going to be quite thin with product. Obviously there'll be more product in the middle of my nail, so that's where I want to put the big chunky things. Do the same on my pinky. It doesn't matter where you put them, it's just an abstract thing. Now I'm going to use the stars. For the pinky, I'm going to use the super tiny stars. And again, it doesn't matter where you stick them, as long as they're not really close to the sides or the edges, and then you'll be all right. So you can check it from the side as well to make sure that it's not poking up. Now for this one, it's a bit of a bigger nail, so I can use a bit bigger star. I'm going to stick him there. If you don't have stars, you can use any kind of iridescent glitter, foil even would work. If it were foil, you probably wouldn't have to put it on first and encapsulate it. You could do that later. But for any kind of chunky glitter, you want to be putting that on the first layer. Okay, so those two have lots of shiny little iridescent bits on them. I'm going to put that in the light to cure, and then when they come out we can do our first layer of the powder. Okay, to put the powder on, if you've ever used acrylic, you'll be quite familiar with this. I'm going to use this brush that is a soft haired bristled brush. You can get them in lots of different sizes. This is the smallest one I have. So I'm going to saturate that in isopropyl alcohol and then get a little wipe. And I'm going to get rid of most of the alcohol on it. I do want the brush to be wet, but I don't want it to be sopping wet. And then for the first layer of powder, I'm just going to pick up a tiny ball of powder like I would if it were acrylic powder. Then I'm going to place it on my nail. When I place it on the nail, I don't want to rub it all over. I want to kind of roll it off and then push it around so that some bits are really concentrated and then some bits aren't as concentrated. Focus. Wow. It's so shiny that it's very difficult for it to focus. So again, I'll just dip my brush in the liquid and then remove most of the liquid and then pick up a tiny bead, and now I'll go over here, put a little bit there, and you can see how it's really concentrated in that area there. So I'm going to leave that. I don't want to work that around too much, but I am going to spread out a little bit more. I want the whole nail to be covered, but I am going to do this with the other color as well on a separate layer. So for the first layer, I'm not looking for full coverage, just like half coverage, you know, whatever you want, however much coverage you're feeling. So I'll just do that for my pinky nail real quick. Okay, so when that's done, you need to wait for the alcohol to dry, or else it'll ruin your job. So let that dry. I tend to put it in the lamp for 30 seconds or 60 seconds just because it does evaporate in heat and my lamp is quite warm. So if we put that in the lamp for 60 seconds, that will evaporate and you'll be left with the bits of powder. Once you are all dry, you want to go back on with your hard gel or your builder gel or whatever you're using. But you really, really, really need to float it on. You don't want to disturb the highly concentrated areas. So I will get quite a good blob of gel on my brush, not that much. And then I'm going to put it over, just float it on the bits that I don't want too disturbed. I am going to file this and shape it when I'm done. So I'm not too worried about the overall shape of the surface of the nail. I just want to get a layer of gel on it without disturbing the powder. And then that will go back in the light to cure, and cure it for the full amount of time that you need to cure your product. The first layer that I did was this purple iridescent powder. For the second layer, I'm going to go in with the gold iridescent powder. So I'll do the same thing, get a little bit of liquid on my brush, make sure it's not sopping wet, but it's wet enough to pick something up. Then I'll just go in like it's acrylic and pick up a small bead of powder. And I'll lay the powder down. Focus. And I'm just sporadically pushing it around the nail. Not going over in the exact same spot that I did the purple. I'm doing a different spot than the purple. Here we go, so it's happening. Now, oh my god, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. I'm going to let that alcohol evaporate and then I will float over a layer of the hard gel again and put that in the light to cure. Okay, so that is the stars and the stars and shards done. We did a layer of the pink powder and a layer of the gold powder. Now, it's got two really good layers of hard gel on it, but there are some sections that are just a little bit jaggy, whether it be from the concentrated powder or from the jaggy stars and shards. So what I'm going to do is wipe them off with a little bit of alcohol just to get rid of the tacky layer. And then I'm going to use my file to just go over them lightly, just in the areas where there's lots of jagginess. Now then, I've filed them a little bit so that the surface is pretty smooth. I'm just wiping away the dust. Next, I want to go in and do these white marble-like lines. You don't have to do this if you're quite happy with that look, which I really, oh dear, I really am very happy with that. But I did white lines on all the rest of them, so I am going to go in and do the same. I'll just do it like I do when I do a marble. Get a little bit on my striping brush. There's a grass cutter outside. It's so typical that he would come by right now when I'm making a video. He can bug off. So I'm just putting a really light line on the nail. I don't want to cover up too much, but I do want to add another layer of dimension. Now that I have the white lines on the nails, I want to soften them up a bit. So I'm going to use my alcohol again and get my brush wet and then just get rid of some of it because I don't want to drown the white. I just want to soften it up a bit. And I'm just touching it just to soften that line. There, so now that's got a little white bit on it. I'm going to put that in the light to cure, and then it's ready to be top coated and oiled and be admired for the next 2 weeks. So when you're totally done, you can take your nails out and just have a feel of them and see if there's any jaggy bits. If there are jaggy bits and it annoys you, you can just go over them with a buffer and then re-top coat them once that's all buffed smooth, but that's pretty good for me. If you're still here, look at my nails, how beautiful they are. Oh my God, I can't believe how beautiful. But I should mention that I use these powders from SBD, but you can use literally any kind of chrome, unicorn chrome powder. This is a unicorn chrome powder from Big Bang Beauty Big Bang. I've got these old ones from Urban Sparkles. Of course, now there's a guy outside drilling. And I've got this from Funky Sugar as well. Anything like this you can use. If you have a colored chrome powder, you could use that as well. Literally, the sky is the limit with this design. So I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments if you do, and if you want to try it, please tag me. I love to look at your photos. And that's it for now. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.